Jace Marlowe walked through the ruins of New Atlanta like a ghost. Buildings stood half-broken, silent. Nature had started to take over again, grass breaking through concrete, vines curling around shattered glass. The city was dead, and so was he. Not physically. But something inside him had stopped working a long time ago. Once, Jace was a proud soldier in the Earth Coalition. He wore a uniform, gave orders, and believed in something greater than himself. He had friends. He had someone he loved. But that was before the Arcadia uprising. Before the sky turned red with fire, and the people he swore to protect were gone in a flash. Jace lost his squad. He lost her. And after that, nothing mattered. For years, he wandered. Never staying in one place for more than a few nights. He didn't want to remember. Didn't want to feel. He avoided the surviving cities. He avoided people. He scavenged food from old stores, drank from rain collectors, and slept in shadows. He wasn't living. He was just surviving. One evening, just as the sky turned orange with sunset, Jace heard something strange. A high-pitched whine above him. He looked up and saw a silver streak falling from the sky. It was fast. Too fast. Then boom, it crashed into the forest just outside the city ruins. A small ship, maybe a scout pod. Normally, Jace wouldn't care. He had seen many wrecks before, most already looted, many too dangerous to go near. But something about this one felt different. He couldn't explain why. Maybe it was the way the air seemed to shift. Maybe it was instinct. Whatever it was, he walked toward the crash. When he reached the site, smoke filled the trees. The ship was broken, split in two. Sparks flew from exposed wires. The hull was cracked open like an egg. Carefully, Jace climbed over the debris. He didn't hear any engines. No alarms. Just a quiet hissing sound and the crackle of fire. Then, a sound stopped him cold. Crying. Soft, high, and scared. He turned quickly. Behind a broken panel, two small figures huddled together. Not human. Their skin was pale blue, almost glowing. Large black eyes blinked at him in fear. One of them, slightly older, put her arms around a younger one, shielding her. "Stay back," she said. Her voice was shaky, her words strange but understandable through a translator. Jace didn't move. He held up his hand slowly, showing he had no weapon. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said. The older girl looked unsure. The younger one peeked from behind her shoulder. Her lip trembled. "He's coming," the older girl whispered. "He followed us. Please, don't let him take us." Jace frowned. "Who's coming?" Before she could answer, the ground shook. A deep, slow rumble like thunder trapped underground. The older sister's eyes widened in terror. Vorak. That name meant nothing to Jace. But he didn't need to understand it. He could see the fear in their faces. These girls weren't dangerous. They were running. And something big was chasing them. Jace looked around. The forest was too open. They had to move. "Can you walk?" he asked. The older girl nodded. "Yes." "Then follow me." He didn't wait. He just started moving, fast but careful. They passed through trees, over roots, past old ruins covered in moss. The girls followed close. Every few minutes, they looked behind them. Jace could feel the tension building. Something was getting closer. They reached an old maintenance tunnel under a collapsed road. Jace had used it before. It led deep beneath the city. A perfect place to hide. They slipped inside, and darkness swallowed them. He led them deeper into the tunnel's cold air wrapped around them. The younger girl shivered. Jace took off his jacket and handed it to her without a word. They stopped in a chamber with old lights still flickering. It wasn't much, but it was safe for now. The girls sat down. The older one looked at Jace carefully. "Why did you help us?" she asked. Jace thought for a long time before answering. "I don't know," he said. "Maybe because no one helped me." Silence. Then the younger girl, wearing his oversized jacket, crawled over and sat beside him. She didn't speak. She just leaned against his arm. Something broke inside Jace. Not in a painful way. It was soft. Quiet. A feeling he hadn't had in years. He wasn't alone anymore. The old maintenance tunnel was quiet, but it didn't feel safe anymore. Jace couldn't shake the feeling that something was getting closer. The alien sisters Arya and Lena sat huddled together. Lena, the younger one, had fallen asleep, her small head resting on Arya's shoulder. Arya stayed awake, eyes alert, always listening. Jace sat across from them, thinking. He had no plan. No weapons. He didn't even know what kind of creature was hunting them. All he knew was the name they whispered with fear. Vorak. He had asked Arya who or what it was. Her answer had been short, but chilling. He's a splicer. He takes what he wants from living beings. Organs. DNA. Memory. He experiments. He tears families apart and turns them into monsters. Jace had seen cruel things during the war. But this was worse. He wanted us, Arya said, voice shaking. For our bond. Jace didn't understand at first. She explained, she and her sister were genetically linked, born from the same energy field, able to feel each other's thoughts. A rare connection in their species. Vorak believed that if he could separate them and study their minds, he could copy the bond and sell it as a weapon. He doesn't just kill, Arya said. He changes. He breaks you first. Jace clenched his fists. He didn't say much, but inside, something burned. He had once failed to protect someone. He had promised to come back, and didn't. That guilt followed him like a shadow. Now, these two girls were looking at him like he was their last chance. He couldn't walk away. Suddenly, the ground shook again. Not far. Dust fell from the tunnel ceiling. Lena woke up with a small scream. Arya pulled her close. "He's here," she whispered. Jace stood up and looked down the dark tunnel. The air felt heavier. Then he heard a low clicking sound, like metal claws tapping against stone. It echoed, getting louder. He motioned for the girls to move. "This way," he said quietly. They moved quickly but carefully, deeper into the tunnels. Jace knew these paths better than anyone. Years of hiding taught him where the air vents were, which walls were fake, and how to vanish underground. They reached an old control room, abandoned, dusty, but sealed. He got them inside and blocked the door with broken metal panels. The clicking stopped. Then came silence. Too much silence. Jace held his breath. The girls did too. Then boom, something slammed into the door. Hard. The metal bent inward, screeching. Lena screamed. Arya covered her mouth. Jace grabbed a broken pipe and held it tight. It wasn't much. Against whatever was outside, it felt useless. Then a voice came through the door. Mechanical. Deep. Cold. "I only need one of you. Give me the younger. I will make the other forget." Jace's jaw tightened. The monster wasn't just strong. It was smart. Cruel. He looked at Arya. She shook her head, eyes full of fear and fire. "We won't leave each other," she said. "Never." The door slammed again. A second time. A third. Jace knew it wouldn't hold much longer. He turned and looked around the room. There had to be something, anything they could use. He saw an old power box in the corner. Still connected to the city grid. Dangerous. But maybe, just maybe. Arya, he said quickly, take Lena. Go through the back vent. Crawl fast. Don't stop until you reach the east exit. You'll see a red mark on the wall. Wait there. She stared at him. What about you? He didn't answer. I won't leave you, she said. You have to. The door bent again. A claw reached through the gap. Jace moved fast. He ripped wires from the power box, stripped them with his teeth, and tied them around the metal pipe. When the door broke open, he touched the pipe to the wet floor and let the current flow. One shot. One chance. Go, he said. Now. Arya hesitated, then nodded. She grabbed Lena and disappeared into the vent. Just in time. The door burst open. The creature stepped in. Vorak was huge. 8 feet tall. Part metal, part flesh. A spider-like machine body, with a long black coat hanging from its shoulders. Tubes ran from his head into his back. His eyes glowed red. He saw Jace and smiled. You are not worth much, he said. But I'll enjoy watching you scream. Jace didn't reply. He just stood still, pipe in hand. Vorak stepped forward. And Jace slammed the pipe into the floor. Zap. Electricity exploded through the water. Sparks filled the room. Vorak screamed a mix of machine noise and twisted pain. But Jace fell too. The shock hit him hard. His vision blurred. The last thing he saw was the monster stumbling, sparks flying from its chest. Then darkness. Everything was dark. Jace couldn't move. Couldn't open his eyes. His body felt like stone. But slowly, like sunlight through fog, sound returned. Water dripping. Metal creaking. A soft voice crying. He forced his eyes open. Blurry shapes came into focus. Arya knelt beside him, her hand on his chest. Her face was wet with tears. Lena stood behind her, holding a dim flashlight, shaking. You're alive, Arya whispered. Jace tried to speak, but his throat was dry. His head felt heavy. His hands were burned from the shock. The room smelled like smoke and metal. Then he remembered Vorak. He turned his head. The monster lay twisted on the ground. Smoke rose from his chest. Sparks flickered around his body. But he wasn't dead. Wires moved. A red eye flickered open. Arya saw it too. She gasped. He's not finished. Jace tried to stand, but pain shot through his legs. He fell back, groaning. Lena ran forward. We have to run. No, Jace said, barely able to speak. He'll follow. He'll never stop. Arya looked down at him, confused. Then what do we do? Jace reached into his coat. Pulled out something small, silver, and blinking red. A neural grenade. One of the last pieces of tech from his soldier days. Illegal now. Banned in every system. It connected to the brain and wiped everything around it: memories, data, consciousness. A full shutdown. It only works at close range, he said. And it needs a living brain to activate. Arya froze. She understood. No, no, you can't. Jace looked at her. His eyes were calm. For the first time in years, he wasn't afraid. Listen to me, he said. You and your sister, you have something worth saving. Something pure. He wants to break it. But I won't let him. Lena started to cry. Please don't die. Jace smiled weakly. I already did, a long time ago. You two brought me back. This is just me finishing the fight. He placed the grenade on his chest and leaned against the wall. His fingers shook as he armed the trigger. You need to go. Now. Arya didn't move. I don't want to leave you. I know, he said softly. But heroes don't always get to stay. Sometimes, they just hold the line. Lena took Arya's hand. We have to go. Arya bent down. She placed her forehead against Jace's. Thank you, she whispered. Jace closed his eyes. Then the girls ran. Footsteps. The sound faded. Silence. Vorak groaned. His body twitched. He rose, towering and furious, half destroyed but still dangerous. He looked at Jace. You think this will stop me? Jace looked up. His face was tired, but steady. No, he said. But it'll stop you. He pressed the trigger. Flash. The grenade exploded without sound. A wave of light spread through the room. Vorak's body froze, twitched, then collapsed. Jace didn't scream. He just let go. 2 days later, a resistance patrol found 2 alien girls near the outskirts of New Atlanta. They were cold, hungry, but safe. Arya carried a small hollow chip in her hand. When they reached the base, she asked to speak to the commander. She placed the chip on the table. It's from the man who saved us. They played the message. Jace's voice came through, cracked but strong. If you're seeing this, it means I didn't make it. That's okay. I just want you to know I did something that mattered. I protected them. So if you ever wonder who I was, just say this. He was broken. But he chose to fight anyway. Silence filled the room. Even the commander wiped his eyes. Arya and Lena were given a home. They were safe now. But they never forgot Jace Marlowe, the broken man who stood against a monster, not for glory or revenge, but for hope. And across the galaxy, his name became a whisper. A story. A legend. Humanity, fuck yeah. Months passed. The story of Jace Marlowe spread quietly through the resistance. Not through loud announcements or medals, but in whispers. Around campfires. In underground shelters. In classrooms where children learned that sometimes, heroes don't wear uniforms or carry fancy weapons. Sometimes, heroes are just broken people, who choose to do the right thing. Arya and Lena found peace at last. The resistance gave them a place to stay, food to eat, and a future to build. But the pain didn't leave completely. Some nights, Lena would wake up calling Jace's name. Other times, Arya sat alone, replaying his last message. Tell them I mattered. Tell them I made it count. She made a promise that day. Jace wouldn't be forgotten. With help from the resistance, she recorded everything. The crash. The chase. The monster. And the man who saved them. The story was broadcast across colonies and refugee camps. And everywhere it played, something strange happened. People stood taller. They felt hope again. Not because Jace had special powers or incredible tools. He had none of those. He had pain. Loss. And still, he chose to stand between 2 innocent lives and a monster. That choice, that sacrifice changed everything. Soon, other survivors began to speak up. If Jace could protect someone, maybe I can too. Patrols grew. Communities started to rebuild. People who had given up started to fight back, not with hate, but with courage. The resistance created a small statue in Jace's honor. Not grand. Not polished. Just a man in a coat, standing in front of 2 young girls. It stood in the heart of the New Atlanta ruins, now being rebuilt by dozens of species working side by side. Under the statue, a plaque read. He had nothing left, but he gave everything. Arya and Lena visited often. On one visit, Lena left a small drawing tucked under the statue's arm. It showed the 3 of them, her, Arya, and Jace, smiling. Happy. No monsters. No war. Just family. Far away, in deep space, others heard the story too. Survivors. Fighters. Even enemies. Some feared the idea of a human willing to die for two alien children. Others respected it. But no one forgot it. And slowly, people started saying a phrase again. A phrase that had almost disappeared from the galaxy. Humanity. Fuck yeah. Jace didn't have powers. He didn't have backup. He didn't even have a reason to keep going. But when it mattered most, he stood up. And that choice lit a fire across a galaxy. So if you ever feel broken, useless, forgotten, remember this. Even the shattered can become shields. Even the lost can lead others home. Even the quietest stories can become legends. Years later, Arya stood at the edge of a new world. The war was over. Peace was fragile, but real. Colonies were rebuilding. Borders were opening. What once felt impossible was now becoming a reality. Lena, now older, worked as a translator for interspecies missions. Her gift, her bond with her sister, was no longer hunted. It was respected. Scientists studied it, not to weaponize it, but to understand it. She had become a symbol of unity, hope, and resilience. But Jace? Jace lived in memories. In quiet moments, Arya still heard his voice. Not loud. Not commanding. Just calm. Real. She would close her eyes and remember his tired smile, the way he gave his coat to Lena without a word, the way he stood in front of death without blinking. She visited the statue once a year. Every time, there were more offerings left around it: flowers, small carvings, handwritten letters in dozens of languages. Children played nearby. Some even wore toy jackets like his. One day, while sitting at the base of the statue, Arya was approached by a young soldier. Human. Barely 20. "Are you the one who knew Jace Marlowe?" he asked. She nodded. He sat beside her, nervous. "My father used to tell me stories about him," the soldier said. "He said Jace saved his life once during the uprising. He said Jace was reckless, stubborn, and the bravest man he ever met." Arya smiled. "That sounds like him. I joined the resistance because of him," the soldier added. "Do you think he'd be proud of us?" Arya looked out across the city. Once ruins. Now full of life. "Yes," she said. "I think he'd be proud of all of us." Far beyond the rebuilt colonies, in uncharted space, a signal blinked to life. An old Earth Coalition escape pod, long thought destroyed, floated near the edge of a black hole. Inside, among broken tech and frozen panels, a green light suddenly flickered. Rebooting memory core. Subject: Marlowe, Jace. Status: fragmented but active. Initiating backup neural seed. Then darkness. Silence. But the light stayed on. And somewhere, deep inside the machine, something remembered. They thought he was gone. But legends don't die. They wait. Until the galaxy needs them again.